Welcome back, everybody. Episode 26 of the Fulfilled Veteran Podcast. I've got Adam on today. Pretty excited to get to know each other and hope to see what he's doing and what we're doing and what we can do more together. So welcome to the show, Adam. And I'll give you a couple of seconds here in a little bit to introduce yourself. But as you guys know out there, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, support. Especially the fucking veterans, man. You got to be able to share knowledge. So please share knowledge with other people. So like, share, support in any way you can for me and for Adam and all the people we're going to chat about today and chat with today. And so let me give you a couple minutes about myself and what I'm up to, because you just have to, right? You have to. So we're primarily on Rumble purposefully because I want to make sure that my guests and I feel fucking comfortable to say fuck. And Rumble does that. So make sure you give us some likes and shares over there. And we are on YouTube as well, just to grab more eyeballs and push them over to Rumble. So help that fucking migration happen. So we'll do that for you guys too. So I've got two main menus that I offer, and I've got a book series, honestly, a book series in between. So I want to brief you on that a little bit too. And so if you guys don't know me, I'm Albert, and I am 44 years old, and I've been around a while, about 6 years now, helping veterans get your money in your pocket. And I am a for-profit, and that is for a fucking good-ass reason. I've now delivered over $10 billion to my clients in the past 6 years. And my clients are the deadliest humans on the fucking planet. So Delta guys are mine, MARSOC, 160th, fighter pilots, all that kind of stuff. Those guys are mine. All your airline pilots out there, give them a little wave because they're probably mine too. So, but yeah, the government takes this big ass check and breaks it up when you get out of your service. And it's the short version of this is think about money. A claim is money. Claim is paperwork in order to get to your money, right? And that's what I help you guys out with. And it works like a fucking champ. And as you're going to hear, that you're going to be told no, but I give you guys strength and wisdom from the beginning. I tell you yes, and yes, you qualify for 100%. Yes, you qualify for at least $5,000 a month, tax-free. That's for a non-retiree, about $7,500 a month for a retiree. Yes, property tax removal reduction. Yes, kids in college money. Yes, death benefit money for your family, all this kind of stuff. It's fucking insane. But you have to get up to 100% first. And I'm not going to talk too much about that. But when you get to 100%, that's when the crazy ass level of money just starts showering down on you. Property tax removal, all that kind of stuff. So my clients are in Texas and California and Florida and even Nebraska. Those guys are spending $1,000 fucking dollars a month in property taxes. And I'm 44, so I've got 5 kids. My kids are getting older. What happens? College, other property taxes, other responsibilities. And Uncle Sam gives me my check because I fucking did the paperwork and did the right thing. And so that's what I do with my clients. So make sure you guys check out my information on that. So links and all that kind of stuff will be in the buttons. So that's one menu item. My other menu is that I help you guys build your empire. And what that means to you is whatever it means to you. It's for-profit, non-profit. Rachel, we need to look this up and find out, because I mentioned it last week too, that there's a oh my gosh, there's a clip that I saw where it said, when life gives you lemons, create your fucking lempire. And the guy it's a very well-known actor. When you see him, you're like, oh my God, I know that guy. And he just starts going into this fucking lempire example, and you're just like, that fucking makes sense. And it's a lot of layers, but he's like, when life gives you lemons, make your fucking lempire. So that's what I want to help you guys out with your fucking lempire. You guys all have crazy ass $1 billion ideas, and maybe not $1 billion overnight, but like you guys all have awesome ass ideas and capabilities. What you don't have is support, and I call it a guy and a guide. So that's why I've also got the book series. So this is not a book of mine, but I'm just saying this is what my first book coming out is going to look like. It's a little survival guide. And so my first book that's already gone to #1 on Amazon's best-selling pre-sale list is The First 5 Fucks to Give for Veterans. And there's F words in there, so like family and faith and finances and things like that. So I'm going to chat about a lot of that today too. And the reason why I made it into a survival guide is for just honestly to remove the fucking fluff, man, to be able to go, okay, here are things that you need to know. What's the #1 question or response you think I hear from clients or veterans? Dude, I didn't know that. But if it's in a book that Adam even mentioned it before, that not only is he a pilot, but also he said he's going to go and buy this as quickly as possible. And that's what all my airline pilots say. They say, oh man, Albert, you got to tell me when that thing goes on fucking sale, man, because I'm going to buy 10 of them. I'm going to carry it in my go bag. And I know I'm going to hand that motherfucker out so fast at the airport, because I always see veterans out there, and I'm going to go buy 10 more. Exactly what I need you guys to do. So the reason why it's still hanging out there, just so that Adam knows this too, the reason why it's still on the pre-sale list and it's not actually physical yet is because we're waiting on an awesome, either one veteran or multiple veterans who have way more bigger audience than I do, like Sean Ryan, that kind of stuff. Like, how cool would it be to have him write forward in there and all that kind of stuff. So we're taking the slow and steady route with trying to break into a higher support group by doing that and get a hell of a lot more views on there. But it is already strategically placed on Amazon under things like what is it under? It's like I had written down over here earlier, the policies and military policy. Like, so if you look up any kind of leadership, the art of war, you're gonna see me in my book. And you look up anything like personal finance, personal growth. So personal finance being like anybody looks up the Rich Dad Poor Dad, they're gonna find my book in there too. It's already right there. So super cool shit. Super excited for it. And that is the first of 4 books that's coming out. And so that's just, you're gonna learn a lot more about that. So I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's about information. And that's why I've got a fucking podcast, because guys like Adam and I, we may not be afraid of the camera, but we may not be camera hogs either. So it's like, we want people to know what we do and energize the movement, and all we have control of is today. And all you can do is thank God for yesterday and hope tomorrow's coming. But all you got is fucking today. And that's why we're just trying to get comms out there to everybody out there. So before I turn it over to Adam, I forgot last week to do this. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. So for those of you who don't know, that I'm 44 now, but I was enlisted in the Army in late 90s, infantry. I was over in Germany, got out in 2000, med boarded in 2000. 9/11 happened when I was in college, and I tried to get back in a couple of different ways. One of them was through Green Beret thing. I got told no. I'm from Texas, so I was in Dallas area at that time. Then I moved closer to Houston, boarded a while later to become a pilot, and was not selected. And they said, so I got told, try back next month. And I'm not that kind of guy. I love my own destiny, being in my own hands. So I was like, oh, how about I go to ROTC in Corpus Christi? So that's what I did. So I did the slow, steady ROTC route, which actually turned out better because I got my commission and I got selected for medevac. So I was a medevac pilot, and I did my long tour in Afghanistan in 09 and 10, and did a bunch of missions out there, did a bunch of crazy shit up in Korengal and during the daytime. And what they don't tell you is, like, pictures out there are of daytime. Now take that and put it at night. We did that shit too. So did a bunch of like I was talking to Adam a little bit about flying and stuff, and I did a bunch of crazy ass dust landings down on Highway 1 near Shank and Ghazni and stuff, and it just blow your mind, shit that we've been able to do. So but yeah, that's a little bit about me. So if you guys don't know, but just happy to help you guys out and deliver money to you. So with that being said, I'm going to sit down and shut the fuck up and let Adam tell us a little bit about himself. So Adam, fire away.
Well, dude, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on the show, man. Super grateful to be here. My name is Adam Peters. I was born and raised in Southern Indiana. I joined the Army in 2003, right after I graduated high school as an infantryman. I would go on to serve for almost 13 years before I was med boarded out at 100%. I did 3 to Iraq and 1 to Afghanistan. And now I've made it my life's work to help our brothers and sisters stop killing themselves, transition out of the Army or the military in general better, and live better lives through some different tools that I've picked up in my, what I call, my 8.5-year transition hole that I fell in. And so, yeah, that's what I do, man. That's who I am. And I'm excited to let you dive more into that and inform everybody on what I do and how I do it and why I do it and all that good stuff.
Super cool. I appreciate that. Like I said, it helps get the fucking hooks in, man. So, well, a question I think that is really terrific for you is, especially you, is what inspired you to be on Not a podcast, hell, my podcast.
Well, that's kind of a funny story, man. I was lost for a long time when I got out of the Army. I tried a bunch of different things. The traditional go to college to get a degree, get into corporate America, and then kind of just live your life. And none of that shit works for me, man. It's fucking miserable. I don't like being told what to do. I don't like that every job I had, in order to go to a VA appointment, I would have to take PTO or risk being fired because they didn't want to accommodate. Yet I would watch other civilian employees take buku amounts of time off, no call, no show, and nothing would ever happen. But I'm the one that's coming to you as my boss, like, hey, I've got this appointment tomorrow. I'm at the mercy of the VA here. And I would get a fucking earful about it, man. And so I had an experience that I'm sure we'll dive into last year in July. I got hooked up with Heroic Hearts Project. They sent me to Peru to do an ayahuasca retreat, and it changed everything about my whole life. Everything from, how I view the world to how I treat myself. Everything changed for me. So in November of last year, one of my best friends in the whole world challenged me to get on LinkedIn and start building something. And the challenge was really this simple. November 5th of 2023, he showed up at my house. He said, I want you to post something every single day on LinkedIn and find 5 creators that resonate with you and engage with them, comment on their stuff, share their stuff, whatever that looks like, and start to learn. So I did. Fast forward a little bit, a couple of months, and I booking meetings and meeting people who are helping me kind of figure out what direction I'm going to head. And I met a guy who said, hey, you're not the guy that's going to get his message across via keyboard, sitting behind a keyboard. You need to start a podcast. And I had a fantasy sports podcast that I did with my friends. It never went anywhere. I didn't know anything about business or marketing or promotion or anything like that. It was fun to get together with 4 of my friends once a week and talk for a couple of hours about fantasy sports and predictions and all of that. And by and large, I enjoyed it. We shut that down a few years ago. That my partner in that has since passed on in a motorcycle accident. And so when he told me podcast, I was like, yeah, I can do that. I have all the equipment. It's just sitting here collecting dust. I was told I was pretty good at it. So I leaned in, man, and I released my first episode of the Strategic Veteran podcast on May 1st. And as of today, we have 27 out and like 58 more recorded that I still have to put out. So, long story short, man, that's what inspired me. A podcast is probably the absolute best way to get your message out there and reach as many people. And it's evergreen. It lives forever. It will always be there, that conversation and all of that. If you want to go a little bit deeper into kind of the philosophy behind my podcast, I'm happy to do that. Whatever that looks like for you, my man.
Yeah, definitely. Lay it out there. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, dude. So I started the Strategic Veteran, which is my personal brand. You can find all of that at thestrategicveteran.com or go over to LinkedIn. That's my main social media platform. Grew my following from 92 in November to over 5,000 today. Just grinding, really learning all the stuff. But after that meeting with that mentor about starting the podcast, I had to look inside myself and figure out, like, where am I going with this? And really what I wanted to be was the guy I didn't have when I transitioned out. So taking, kind of a future look at that and reverse engineering what that would look like, I was like, well, I think it's important to run a show where you introduce the person, you talk a little bit about what inspired them to join, kind of where they grew up, and a little highlight reel of their career. Then the second third is the transition and kind of the transition woes that they faced and how they overcame them. And then we get into entrepreneurship, because I truly believe entrepreneurship is the path back to purpose for all of us as veterans. And maybe not entrepreneurship, but even intrapreneurship, and giving you the tools, the tips, the tricks to climbing the corporate ladder and getting as close to the revenue as you can, instead of trying to build something and have infinite revenue, if you will. So that's how I structured my podcast. And that's what I truly believe. I truly believe the path back to purpose is through entrepreneurship.
No, and I think you and I are just cut from the same fucking cloth there, man. And I think that's and I appreciate that, because it's like you and I know that, and everybody out there listening knows about frequency, and that you and I are tuned into the same fucking radio on that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, you look at fucking World War II, all these veterans come back and they are entrepreneurs, they're leaders. And I like to think of it maybe a little, start with the end in mind of what do you want on your tombstone? And, you know, beloved husband, father, and, you know, none of us are perfect. So don't let me and Adam tell you different or make a, try to paint a picture of perfection.
Yeah, far from fucking perfect here, man.
We're working on it every day too.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, you have to move that passion forwards. You just have to. And that's why, with even my title of fulfilled veteran, it doesn't say, hey, please don't shoot yourself in the face. That's long. And I don't want you thinking about that. Like, we've all been on the fucking phone to the VA, and all it talks about for 45 minutes of being on fucking hold, you guys know this. If you're thinking about killing yourself, hang up and call blah, blah, or, you know, press 0 now, you know, whatever. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. And you get fucking shellacked with it and painted with all this crap. And I mean, I do every single day. And I like that. I get out in front of camera and I'm with my clients and with my guests and things. And we just get fucking re-energized by just the cool shit that we've done and that we're doing now and that we have the capability of fucking doing. And I now know that we're part of this next fucking wave of American dream.
Yeah, man.
There's no border to the American dream.
There's not. And that's the lie we've been fed our whole lives. And I think, you know, you talked about, like, if you look at World War II, that's really what inspired me to start everything that I'm doing. Is I read a Military Times article, and I can't for the life of me find this article again. I'm sure if I did a deep dive on Google, I'd find it. But what really inspired me was I looked at the number of World War II veterans that this article broke this down, and I'm going to get these numbers wrong, so don't quote me. But after World War II, the number of veteran-owned small business in the United States was something like 78%. 78% of all small businesses in the United States were owned by veterans, operated by veterans. So then they went to Vietnam, and that number had fallen to like 30-something%. And for post 9/11 veterans, you and I included, that number was less than 3%. So immediately after reading that article, it inspired the idea for the strategic veteran, in that it tells me it's an education problem, right? It's an education problem. We've been lied to. And again, there's a lot of things that go into what I do and how I reverse engineered this stuff. But the first thing that happened to me was I made a comment on C-suite executives post that works for Allegiant Vets Skill Bridge program. And my comment was apparently powerful enough. He's like, this is what I'm talking about. I need people like you to come talk to my Skill Bridge program. And I was like, oh, fuck. I really have genuinely no fucking idea what I'm doing. I just have this idea that the path back to purpose is entrepreneurship. And at this time, I had no idea what that looked like or how I was going to move that, you know, that goalpost forward and, you know, build this dream or whatever. But I took the opportunity to talk to my target audience. So on a random Tuesday, I get invited to this Zoom meeting. It's got 1,200 freaking SkillBridge people in it. 400 of them come to my breakout room to hear about entrepreneurship. They asked me to prepare a PowerPoint, but I fucking hate PowerPoints. So I put one together. I did the first slide, and then I said, I'm not fucking doing this to the entire group of 400 people. I was like, I'm just going to tell you what I believe, what direction I'm headed, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. And I think that's the best thing I could have ever done, because out of that meeting, I ended up with like 300 followers that day. I ended up with, I don't even know how many people booking time on my calendar to talk to me. I got countless DMs on LinkedIn stating, like, first of all, thank you for being the most authentic presenter I've seen in my entire, 5 months at the SkillBridge program. I guess what they get there is a lot of, headhunters out there that are just trying to recruit you into their companies. And I took the approach, like, I just want to let you know this is an option for you. And I don't necessarily have all the answers, but I can help you as best as I can. And that was super rewarding, man. And not only that, but it validated my idea. It's an education problem, because those messages would tell me, you just opened a door I didn't know existed. Like, it really is an education problem. And veterans don't know that entrepreneurship is a route that they can take, or an option, or whatever that looks like. And so, thank you, Thomas McKenzie, if you're listening to this, for giving me a shot and really moving everything that I've created forward.
You made me think of is so if you want to know what the physical manifestation of what, let's say, society wants combat veterans to look like or be or do, is go to any one horse town VFW. What is it? The windows are boarded up. They were sealed up years ago, bricked up and all this kind of stuff. They did that in this town that I live next to. And just this past year, they finally were like, you know what? Our cute little small town Main Street, we need to put let's remove all the bricks from the front of this. And it looks exactly what you want it to be now, is like, hey, I'm a VFW member and I am a part of the community. And what's cool is that even when they have like street events, it's a really small town, but whenever they have little street events and stuff, they're positively flooding out onto the sidewalk with their families. That wasn't a thing even 5 fucking years ago, or even 2 years ago, in that same building. And I think it shows in not only the stats that you chat about, but it definitely shows of like what the government wanted us to be, is, hey, we want you in your little fucking cubicle, and we want you to just go away until you die. That's it. Like
that's it.
That's it. Well, but now guys like me and you are going, let your fucking ass out of that bottle, man. Go do good things and like you said, action to purpose. So,
and I think the VFW, it didn't do itself any favors. I don't know what your experience with VFW halls are, but I've been into several since I've been out, and I've not been into one that's very welcoming to our generation of veteran. It's largely older, Vietnam type veterans. At Desert Storm, I guess, is in there. Mostly Vietnam when I was looking, and they treated us like shit. They didn't want us there. And then I take issue with kind of what a VFW hall even is. Like, why do people go there to drink? Drinking's poison, and it's not something that we as veterans should continue to do. And so I think there needs to be a lot of changes in the VFW halls going around, like, first of all, we need to get some younger leadership in there. I'm sorry, older veterans, but like your time has come and gone. We're moving into, as sad as this is to say, Vietnam era veterans are starting to die off. Like that's a fact of life. And it's probably time to pass that torch to the younger generation of veterans who understands the different fight that we went through and the different problems that we're dealing with. And then you got to remove the alcohol, the substance abuse issues from all of it, because it's just perpetuating the suicide epidemic. And so, I'm not surprised one horse town VFW halls are boarded up given all of those circumstances. But at the same time, like, we shouldn't be infighting. We should be coming together and collaborating to blow the damn thing back up to the top where it once was, as veterans ourselves. Like, you're not my competition. You're my friend and my support in this. This is how we change everything that's going on in the veteran community, is by doing shit like this, coming together, working together, partnering together, whatever the fuck that looks like.
I'm glad you said it that way too, because that's what I was thinking as well, is that we've got a 20-year war that was a fucking shit show from the start to finish.
20 fucking years. Say that again. Like, think about that.
And I was there before it even. I was in the Army when it was quote peacetime. If you saw the fucking 7-8 of the shit that we did in the 90s of slinging the swath and find a stick and write T on the guy's head if he has.
I remember all of that. Crap. I went through the same training. God. Yeah.
It's so fucking stupid and so now, and going to Adam's point of we need a younger generation who legit is just fucking social media. Somebody who knows social media and podcasts. Because even somebody said this today on something I was listening to on Rumble, that the old school news channels, they're dog shit. So nobody listens to the fucking those weirdos anyway. Nobody that I care about. But my point to that being, what this guy said was that. Thankfully, social media is now like the AM radio of the past. That the people who give a shit about this country don't listen to mainstream media. So what do? We do want our information. We do want it straight and give it to us fucking straight. Like, and that's why we lean on social media. And so when I'm like death scrolling on Facebook or whatever, for some reason, it's usually about like, you know, marriage stuff or how it can be better, or I'll see Sean Ryan stuff flip past and that kind of thing. So, and just chat with you guys and find out what you guys know.
Yeah,
and I'm out in front of my clients all the time too. So I'm finding out information from them. So you're getting up to date. What's the VA doing right now? Well, the VA didn't tell us they're going to do that. Yeah, because they're not going to, the government's never going to tell you, hey, bend over. We're going to fuck you hard for the next whatever.
Yeah,
they don't tell you that. They don't tell you, like, if you, no shit, guys, if you landed, if a fucking alien who just happened to know what Adam and I have been through, if they fucking landed at the VA hospital and went, oh, is this what you do to your people? Fuck this, I'm out. Like, it's gross. So
going back to where I came from. Fuck
negative,
this.
but,
Yeah.
But oh my God, man. But I think, like, to Adam's point too, of the entrepreneurship and just hopefully catch the right people at the right time with mentors. Because my other 3 books in my series are, which you don't really see them anymore. They're covered up back there. But so my next book is about finding yourself and the hero formula. Be the hero of your own journey. And I use math because it's just an easier formula. Being around the right people, have a plan, do something fucking positive every day, so it'll stack up, and you look back and go, wow, how did I get 30,000 followers on LinkedIn? Well, it started with 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and stuff like that. Like, how did I write a book? By fucking starting and doing something. So that's the second book. The third book is about small teams doing great things. And because you're going to be betrayed. You're going to be betrayed by the government. You're going to be betrayed by a big corporate. You're going to be betrayed by your family, by your brother or sister or whatever. Your own fucking self. You're going to go through that shit. I do it. Adam said that he's got some of that too. And then the final book of the series is about now giving it to the next generation. We have to pass the torch to motivated. If it's a kid mowing a yard or a fucking lemonade stand or a kid that says, hey, I want to clean fucking windows. Like, no shit, during COVID, by the way, there's a woman out there who started making millions of dollars just in rich neighborhoods, putting pumpkins on people's porches.
You can make money doing anything.
One of my kiddos asked, oh, did she carve them? No, that takes a fuckload of time. But imagine that. Let me go buy 10 fucking pumpkins and stack them up on your porch. Okay. Make a couple $100. How fucking easy is that? And this woman is making millions.
Yeah.
And what a great idea. So
yeah, you can make money doing anything. And that's what I try to point veterans in the direction of. Like, I have several flaws. You touched on them. Your books basically go in kind of the order that I try to help veterans transition, starting with your second book in getting to know who you are. There's a big problem. The military is really good at brainwashing us and building us up into what they need us to be, and rightfully so, right? Given, the nature, you were an infantryman, so you get it, right? Like, be the best infantryman you can be for this mission, for this organization. Like, that's it. That's the fixed mindset that you're in. But while you're doing that, no matter what your job is in the military, you're building high leverage skills that translate well into the business world. So now you just need to sit down and take inventory of who the fuck you actually are. What are your core values and what are your passions? And then align that with whatever skills you have and go make money. And so we really genuinely are on the same frequency here and the way that we have approached doing what we do. And I still don't even know that much about what you do, but it's these principles. And that's what my paid community focuses on, is getting you out of the fixed mindset and into the growth mindset to be successful. Teaches you how to be mindful of what you're feeling, thinking, and doing, and how to act on that shit. And, just really teaches you how to figure out who in the fuck you actually are, because by and large, you think that your identity is wrapped up in the military, and I promise you that it is not.
No. Yeah, and I believe that too. So I call this my golf swing approach to life. It starts out high, and I'm a lefty when I swing. So it starts out high, like, hey, what did I think was going to happen? And then it hits low, because then reality fucking hits you in the balls, right?
Every time.
You swing it back to a positive, because that's all you got.
Yeah.
Here's the amount of faith I've got. I will not shoot myself in the head. I will not drown myself. Like, I'm not that guy. I'm a faith guy. I know my time in my skin suit is very small, and I'm not getting in between me and my Father. So I'm just gonna leave it at that for everybody out there for now. So I have to eat every fucking shit sandwich that comes at me. And especially on social media, guys out there, you're going to see a lot of shit against you. But here's what's weird though, that when you have clients, and I'm glad, Adam, that you're a for-profit, and I highly recommend people be a for-profit, because
this shit costs money to do.
You will learn so much about everything.
Well,
if you have to go chase fucking money, you're going to learn about, like, here's what I want to offer, but maybe I can't offer it. Here's how many people I would have to do that. And I do that all the time. Here's a good framework. If you don't have problems, you don't have a fucking business. If you're not solving problems, if you don't have the ability to put your fucking feet on the ground every day and go, today I'm doing good shit, and I'm going to have a good attitude. My simple prayer, by the way, I'm going to say this too, is every time my feet hit the floor is, thank you for yesterday. Thank you for today. Please put me where you need me and give me the strength to fucking handle it.
Exactly.
It's so simple.
And yeah, that's similar. I have a gratitude practice, right? That's what gets me out of bed every morning. I wake up immediately, five things I'm grateful for. Usually it's for waking up, number one, whatever. They could be simple things, but it just sets the tone, right? Like your prayer, and dude, you're right. Like, I am for profit. You know why? Because my time is worth something, and you have to invest in yourself in order to get better, just like I fucking did. You know what I mean? And it cost me fucking money to put this shit on. So you know what? Those that hate that, oh, you're a veteran doing stuff for veterans, but you're going to charge veterans. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm going to charge veterans. You know why? Because they got to get out of their own fucking way and invest in themselves. Also, I do nonprofit work in my free time, which isn't much, so I volunteer for a nonprofit. So I'm doing my part to help veterans for not profit also,
And that's how I teed up before too, was that we all wear multiple hats. It's okay. I've been on boards, committees, and shit like that. I've been in nonprofits. And if you guys want to volunteer for something, or start a nonprofit, I would highly recommend that you volunteer for one first, because you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn
so much too. Oh man,
events and things like that. So
yeah, you'll learn a ton. That's every day. Every day I learn something new about something at the nonprofit. So yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about some of the. I know we want to talk about like some of the negatives that happen. I'm really curious about ayahuasca, because I don't know much about it, but it's crazy that a lot of my I always like to swing things back to the positive. That I being around medical a lot and being around special operators a lot, I know a lot of special operators are now out there legit partnering with somebody else who could be a chemist or a botanist or whatever to get the smarter. I don't call it chemical, the natural entity out there. Like, I'll give you an example. I had heartburn so much all the time, and most veterans do. I used to chew Tums so much that my youngest daughter said, "Dad, go chew your Tums."
Yeah.
One time she was like scoffing at me, go chew your Tums. And I heard that cayenne pepper is good for you. So now I put cayenne pepper in my espresso in the morning. I put it in my margaritas in the evening, and I haven't had a Tums. I'll have a one or two as a safety around my bedside or something like that. But like, I don't chew them. I haven't eaten a Tums in months.
Yeah.
So there's, and Adam and I are both from, I'm not from Indiana originally, but I've been here 12 years now. But this is a mecca for big pharma. And I don't take anything. I'm not saying I've been that guy that refused to take anything. I never really had to. But I'm really curious about your ayahuasca and your journey of what it took you to get there and all that kind of stuff too. So I really want to hear that. But oh my God, there was a woman that said the other day, she said she has bad cramps and stuff like that. And she said, I finally heard that I can drink pickle juice as opposed to going and getting fucking medication. So she's just so shocked that she had to put that out there. And And my pastor said this a couple weeks ago that most of the time people boil over in disdain of like bad things happening. Oh, Adam's a dick, man. I'm gonna ruin his life on fucking social media. Very rarely do people just go, oh my God, Adam's the genius, and boil over that positive way. But that's what this woman did. She's like, how the fuck did I not know about fucking pickle juice? Why is Big Pharma trying to fucking kill us all and put us on meds and shit?
Oh yeah.
I mean, how did you tell me your fucking journey on, especially going not physical journey, just physical, but mental and stuff? Tell me.
Yeah, let's do this, man. This is going to be a little long-winded, but I think the whole story is good for context. So I'll just lay the whole thing out there for you. When I got out of the Army, I did what ACAP at the time, I think it's SFL TAP now, tells you to do. Went to the resume class, wrote a resume, used my GI Bill, go to college. I went and got an AST and professional pilot. So I went from private to commercial, got multi done, was working on CFI. And my bachelor's at the same time. It was like, I can't do both. It's really, particularly with the CFI stuff, I'm sure you'll relate to this because you are a pilot, like that demands 100% of your focus. I don't care how smart you are or how much you have, like working on a bachelor's degree and CFI at the same time is pretty much impossible. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm sure somebody out there will come along and prove me wrong, but it's a fucking nightmare, even if you are somebody that has the capacity to handle shit like that. So I left flying on the side for about 1.5 years to go finish my bachelor's degree. And while I was doing my bachelor's degree, some tweaker in Washington State decided that he needed my flight bag and some of the stuff out of my garage a lot more than I did. So fast forward a few years, did a bunch of other things, kind of never went back to flying. Started my own insurance agency, didn't know anything about the insurance world, but had decided while I was working on my bachelor's degree, I was managing a gun store at the height of COVID, and I was working 7 days a week, and I was doing everything. The only thing I would not do in that gun store was Cerakote. I wasn't qualified to Cerakote. I wasn't certified. So everything else, I was payroll, I was ordering, I was stocking, I was handling all the everything, all the operations. And that's when I discovered I had a knack for business. I just enjoyed it. It was, even though I was working 7 days a week, I mean, I'm a gun nut, so I love being in the gun store. The hardest part about working there was not spending the paycheck on, discounted firearms and suppressors and shit like that. But I really just got kind of fed up with it because I was only making like 15 or 16 bucks an hour, and I was doing the work of the owner. The owner stopped showing up. You know what I mean? Like he would just stop showing up altogether because somebody's there, running your fucking business for you. Of course, I probably wouldn't show up either if I had a guy like me. So I did Voc Rehab to finish my bachelor's degree. I'm sure that's one of the things that you talk about in your first 5 fucks to give. Voc Rehab's a pretty cool program. I hope that it's getting better because I tried to get them to pay for CFI and multi and some other shit, and they wouldn't at the time. I've heard of guys getting some shit like that approved for the flight, but I don't know. So I just used it to pay for my bachelor's degree. Part of their deal with Voc Rehab, when you get your degree, they give you money for like 90 days afterwards to get you started to find a job. You just have to apply. And it's kind of like unemployment if you've ever been on unemployment. And you also cannot turn down any interviews. So I just started kind of treating it like unemployment, where I just spam a bunch of fucking resumes out. Having 100% and CRSC doesn't mean that I really need a job. You know what I mean? So I wasn't in a hurry to go to the corporate America. But anyway, longer story short, I applied and moved across the country to South Carolina to go sell insurance. I didn't know anything about the insurance industry. I just knew it was lucrative as fuck. So I get out there, I find out I'm knocking doors, selling final expense to seniors. What that actually means is I'm selling whole life policies to people that are poor, that can't afford them. And really quickly, didn't know anything about chargebacks or how to follow up with people. This was by and large my first intense sales role. So I was closing business, but my business wasn't staying on the books. And I came to the conclusion hey, I'm just selling a fucking intangible product to people who have no financial education and no money to even live. Like it's 2020 and 2021, and I'm driving around taking these people to the bank so that they can create a bank account so I can draft premiums off of them. Right. Like, so I felt really scummy, and I had some personal stuff going on, some health issues with my wife. So I left that and I picked up a work from home selling health insurance job. Not quite as lucrative, but it was pretty cool because it's just work from home, and really big boy rules, like up to you. I wasn't accountable to anyone except for my bank account, my wallet, and I was doing well there. They turned my leads off for 10 days. So they paid for leads, which was why I chose the company, because that gets really expensive. But when they turn your leads off for 10 days, you're not making any money. And they couldn't tell me when the issue was going to be fixed. So on day 10, I printed off, I don't know, probably 10 or 12 copies of my resume. And I drove to all the big box property and casualty stores in Columbia, South Carolina. I walked away that day with 4 job offers, chose to go to an all-state agency, got my property and casualty license, and was like, okay, maybe I'll just use this as a stepping stone to start my own agency in the future or whatever, now that I've got experience with life, health, property, casualty. It didn't end up working out that way. I chose wrong. I chose the all-state agency with an owner who, by and large, just wanted to say he was a business owner, but didn't want to do any work for the business. He wouldn't take phone calls from the book of business. He barely ever showed up. And the last straw for me was before Thanksgiving on 2021, something like that. But right before the weekend, he dipped out 3 days early, didn't pay me over $6,000 in commission. So I just wrote my letter of resignation, left it on his desk, and was like, I just told my wife, I was like, I chose to come out here. You gave me 18 months. It's your turn. Where do you want to go live? I have family here in Florida. So she was like, she's from Washington State, had never been to Florida. We had been coming down here visiting. She's like, I really think I want to move to Florida. I was like, perfect. Found a flight school. That was my plan B, go back to flight school, become a CFI, and have a career in aviation. So I'd kind of let go of any other plans I had. We moved down here to Florida. I go to the flight school. I'm like 4 days away from taking the check ride. I'm through stage 1, in stage 2, which is really stage 2 for CFI. I'm sure is really easy in a 141 school. Teach all the lessons from the PTS and call it a day, right? Like, and then go do your flight and schedule your check ride. Well, when your flight bag gets stolen out of your garage, your logbook's usually in it. And to fill out the 4710 to take the check ride, I needed my most up-to-date numbers from the commercial check ride. Well, that's something you would think that the FAA would put on their website, because it's only like 290 kilobytes of data. They did not put my commercial check ride on the website. The only one that was on there was my private pilot check ride. So I had to handwrite them a letter and send them a check, a real check. It couldn't be anything other than a check, for $2, and wait 6 months for them to send me my 4710. They sent me all the information, which was actually great. And it did take about 5.5 months. So in the interim, I picked up a job in the sod farms. And I'm in a pretty dark spot at this point, because life is just not going in my favor by and large, for a lot. So this is going to be 2022. So July of 2022 to November or December of 2022, I was working at the sod farms, and I thought it was going to be kind of just one of those shitty interim jobs or whatever. It actually turned out being one of the best jobs I've ever had, because I was making $1,000 a week and I was left alone. It's literally show up, get on your mower, go mow the area that they tell you to mow, put your headphones in, listen to books, listen to podcasts, whatever, music, whatever that looks like. Just be on time and don't break our equipment, and fill out the form that you have to fill out. And that's it. We'll pay you $1,000 a week. So, it was pretty cool. I think that year I listened, in that 5-month period, I listened to like 80 books, and I was the top like 1% listener that year for the Sean Ryan show, Joe Rogan, Modern Wisdom, and a couple of other podcasts. So I had a lot of time on my hands to, from 7 to 5:30 every day, I was listening to books and podcasts. And the day that I got my FAA letter in the mail is the same day I tore my bicep tendon on my left arm. So you can't really work a throttle in a Piper with a torn bicep tendon. So I'm in a really dark place at this time. And what happened to me, man, is I'm a Harley guy. I love motorcycles. I rode a crotch rocket for almost 20 years and then, switched to the Harley because my lower back can't take the crotch rocket lifestyle anymore. And by and large, man, I was waking up every day like, what am I doing here? Like, what is my purpose on earth? Why am I here? I was ready to check out. And there's been several times I can think going down the highway at 120 miles an hour on a big bagger that, if I just put it into the street, it all goes away. You know what I mean? I was hesitant to go to the VA and get pills because I know something's wrong with me. I know something's off. And all my buddies that got on those pills, 20 something different fucking medications, they all turned into zombies. And oh, by the way, they still tried to kill themselves. So I knew that was a route I didn't want to go. But when I was listening to the Sean Ryan show, I caught him at like episode 6 or 7. And so I've by and large been a fan of his since the beginning. And when he talked about going with Tom Satterley's foundation down to Mexico to do 5-MeO and Ibogaine, I was like, that's what I need to go do. And what really kind of opened my mind to actually going to do it is the episode where he sat down and talked to his wife. And his wife actually interviews him and they discuss all of the actual changes that he's experienced from this. And I was like, there's no fucking way, man. There's no way your eyes are whiter, your color, your iris is more brown than the brown that it was before you went. There's no way that you quit alcohol with this, that basically your whole life. I just like, no way that this changed everything about you. So I did, man. I started searching the internet, the depths of the internet, applying to any veteran charity that sends dudes to go do, I was looking for the same thing that he did. So I was looking for Ibogaine and 5-MeO DMT. What I quickly found was all of those organizations cater to special operations forces. They don't cater to conventional guys. And I don't know how I found Heroic Hearts Project or if they found me or if somebody, I don't know. But random day, I get an email from Heroic Hearts like, hey, we want to do your intake. Congratulations. We're going to take you and do this retreat. And I was like, okay, sweet. This is going to be really cool. So I owe a lot to Sean Ryan. I actually have a cold email drafted to Sean Ryan to reach out to him, not because I want to be on his show, because I think it could further, my audience, but to let him know what he did for me as a fellow veteran by starting his show, and that he inspired me to start my own show largely based off of how he conducts his show and to do the work that I'm doing now. So that's how I ended up getting kind of involved with ayahuasca and all of that. And I'm happy to go into more if you want, but I figured that was kind of long-winded.
Definitely. I appreciate that thus far too. And, your humility and just being humble. I love that too, man. That like I get it. I mean, I've looked at a cold pond once and was feeling my fucking nuts crushed, and I was like, man, if I just walk into that pond, I mean, let's see if I can swim until I can't fucking swim,
Yeah.
And that's the only time I've ever got that far in thought. But just like you said, it could just be, what the fuck, man. So anyway. But I'm also a motorcycle guy, and so is Rachel's husband. So I've got a Harley out back, and but yeah, it's it. I think, and I say this in front of my clients all the time, that if it's this hard for us high level people, tier 1 or high caliber veterans, man, Joe Average is getting fucked.
Oh yeah, bad.
They say it all the time. Like these special operators say it all the time. My clients say it all the time. The senior leaders say it all the time to me. And then we all feel the same, like, man, because I had to tell a 28-year-old client of mine this morning, I was like, hey man, you're young. The government's going to fuck with you so hard for the rest of your life. I'm just telling you now, I don't want you to be shocked and awed, because here's who they're fucking with right now. 60-something-year-old fucking, or whatever, 50-something-year-old retired 05 SEALs and shit are getting fucked with. And I'm not going to say who this is, but a colonel in MARSOC was told no, speaking of Voc Rehab, a colonel from MARSOC was told no for fucking Voc Rehab. And I know this because he called me on my cell phone, and I had a conversation with him about my backyard, because he's like, Albert, I can't believe this motherfucking little bastard told me no to my fucking face. And there's all kinds of, I'm just saying this because Adam's been through it too. I was told no twice by Voc Rehab before they said yes the third time, and you just have to. You have to. They call these people counselors. They don't counsel you on shit.
No, they by and large don't know what the fuck they're doing.
They know that if you apparently if when you say the right thing, they'll say yes. If you don't say the right thing, they'll tell you no. But that's it. They're a decision maker at that point, and most.
I think what it is they have like I think they have a specific box that they know how to operate in. And if you're one of those Voc Rehabs, like with me with flight school, they didn't even want to try to get it approved because it didn't fall into the traditional, get a project management degree or an MBA or whatever the fuck, right? Like it just didn't fit into the traditional box. And I think they just all work off this little fucking sheet that says yes or no. You know what I mean? Does it fit in this box? Yes. Okay. Approved. Does it fit in this box?
You ever seen those gravity fed, like the circle where it's like you hit the arrow and it says yes, 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 yes. And then the very bottom says no. It's got a little bit of that says no. It's like gravity straight down.
Yeah.
I swear to God, they go in there and just go, they go, hey, it's break time, how are we gonna fuck Adam, fast and hard or what, and they come back and go, well, yeah, we somebody else decided, man, you're not checking the right box, so fuck you.
Yep, that's it.
It's so fucking gross, man. And oh my God, again, the government just tries to fuck with all of us to get us to go away. And so anyway, but I'm really curious about because I know you're talking about with Sean's guest that he had on there, and although I don't know that guy personally, I've seen his I've seen his group at I go to an event in Tampa, I go to events in Destin and stuff like that, and I'm always around special operator stuff, so I've definitely seen those guys in the room, but it has to, the honest thing is, Adam, it has to start somewhere. And it has to go with like, okay, if it's this fucking hard for SEAL Team 6 or whatever, everybody else is getting fucked. Well, let's go ahead and bring everybody else in too and try to bring them in. But somebody's got to go fucking first. And the both unfortunate and fortunate reality is that, like I opened it up with, that these special operator guy will go and partner up with like a fucking chemist or whatever to go, hey man, how the fuck do we do this better and get some real good shit out there to our people. And because I mean, all the, I'm going to say all the F's, but all the FAA, all the FDA, they're all fucking dog shit. And
every last one of them.
I mean, I could go into a story about the VA hospital and how just gross the VA hospital is, one floor or one even room at a time, because there's so much red tape, you can't even get in there and make any kind of change. So going back to the line that Dan Bongino talks about all the time is be the change. If you want change, you got to fucking be the change. That's why I like for-profits and all that kind of stuff, because I look back and I thankfully my staff knows this too, that when I host events every day, that my staff or my clients are on camera with me and we're seeing each other face to face and we're being emotional and but nobody's alone. You look around the room like, no shit, man, I'm not going to say it since you and I are both pilots. In one event, I said, hey guys, I just want to let everybody know, everybody in this room right now is a fucking pilot. Everybody, all of them. Some rotary, some were special operators, some fighter pilots. And one of the guys in the room that day was a fucking Navy Blue Angel from the early 90s. Who flew number 7, and I think he flew number 8 or something like that too. So the one has a 2-seater, and it's fucking gross, man. I love it. Don't get me wrong, but it's so gross that we have to fucking not only defend but fucking fight the government to give us our fucking money back and give us our money, and you can't buy back time. So anyway, I'm pointing back to Adam, and I'm going to swing this back to Adam so he can take it forwards. Is just like I just said there. Can't buy back time. How can people get more involved faster for themselves? Because you got to start with I need to be better for myself. And I've had people tell me that I interviewed a guy for my book, and he said something very similar to Adam, mentioning things like, oh man, I had a dark hole for 10 years or whatever. I had a guy who said, man, Albert, I how do you say this? He said, I self-medicated for a decade and I was not good at it.
Yeah. We all do it. Every last one of us does it.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's not just alcohol or drugs or cannabis or whatever. It's food. Sugar was a big one for me. So, you know, when I went to Peru last year, July 2nd through the 7th, I showed up there at 311 pounds. Mind you, I'm 6'3". So I was fucking fat, man. I was fat. I had high blood pressure. They say I was pre-diabetes. I was fucking diabetic. I might as well have been. You know, blood pressure off the fucking charts. Couldn't walk all the way up the stairs to the kind of the meditation area at the retreat on the top of the mountain, which really isn't a bad climb, but I would be so out of breath that I couldn't talk for 5 minutes. Like it was bad, man. It was really bad. And, since then, I've lost 100 pounds. I weigh 211 pounds now. I'm fucking probably more fit than I was ever, even when I was in the Army. I pay attention to the foods that I eat. I meditate. I do yoga. I'm mindful of just about everything that goes on in my life. And by and large, I actually love and respect myself, which is not something that I did at all before that trip. So, you know, I mean, it when I say it changed my life, it changed my life. I look at pictures, you know, from the day I got on that retreat, and I don't know the guy that's looking back at me in that photo at all. And by and large, that guy doesn't exist anymore. I'm a completely different person. It's almost like I was reborn.
Yeah. I like that you teed it up that way, because I've said a similar line, and I'm going to tell you about some stuff that I've lost and gained, but that's what I had a fucking. Most of us are hard-headed, and I had to crush myself, my old self, early this summer, and go down to Florida and just unfuck myself. And I just woke up one morning at 3 a.m. and just somehow I may call it death scrolling, but I was going through something, and I was like, be a better husband, be a better man. It starts with I. And I was like, fuck. You know, this isn't what I wanted. I told my kids when I left, I was like, hey, I'm in Indiana. So I said, hey, I'm going to go down and help veterans down there. And because I knew the masses were down there. The masses can live without me. My kids can't live without me, you know, right? Like, so I woke up one morning, I'm just watched that. And I was in no shit. At 8 a.m., I was on the fucking road, driving 12 hours back to get my fucking life right. And, it starts with I, guys. It starts with I. I can't be better for, just like in the fucking airplane. Like I say with your kids, when the mask falls down, put it on yourself first so you can help yourself first and then help the kids. Like, just, you got to take care of your fucking self.
Yeah, it starts with you. And that, I think that's like the biggest message I can give any veteran is you have to do the work that you've been avoiding on yourself. And you've been told your whole life that that's selfish, that you shouldn't put, you know, yourself before anything. I actually believe the opposite. I think that you have to put yourself first, literally, in everything that you do, whether that's being a father, whether that's being a husband, whether that's being a business owner. You always have to come first. And I'll tell you, since my ayahuasca experience, I've put myself first. I've done the work on myself. What I've noticed is that when I work on myself first, all the other shit falls into place where it's supposed to. I don't have to do the work on that shit because it just works out. Mainly because I'm now mindful of how I'm acting, how my emotions are affecting other people, you know, why my emotions are the way that they are, all of that shit, because I do the work on myself. So if you're not willing to start with you, you're going to be where you're at for the rest of your life until you do the work on yourself.
I love the line from Josh Hudson. So he's really good. So you guys need to look him up. But he says, show me your husband and I'll show you your marriage. And he says that both positively and negatively. So if we're talking about stats here, only about 20% of married couples are doing it the right way. And I'm going to do this as like a dancing couple kind of a thing. And that 20% that does it the right way, they still get the same 24 hours that I get, that Adam gets, and that all you guys get out there. Please know that it should be a partnership. And I struggle with it. I am not fucking perfect. I even said it to my wife yesterday. I'm not fucking perfect. I am here. Take me as I am. But what I got too focused on was too much about me being, boss guy and badass owner of this and badass clients and badass money in the bank. If somebody would have held a mirror up to me and said, "Hey man, how you doing as a husband? Is your wife happy with you?" Nobody fucking said it, to include my wife. But like, what happens? Shit happens until it stops. And so anyway, but I very similar to, I'm 5'6", so 44 years old, 5'6". I got up to not quite 200 pounds, but I got fucking fluffy, and I now at like 148, and so I gained 40 pounds first. But then thankfully I was talking to a special operator in Destin, and I was like, man, we're going to get back to Adam's point of eating good food, because that was the thing too, is I was eating the wrong stuff at the wrong time, and I felt bad. I was chewing Tums like a motherfucker, and you can't put something in this end and then think that it's going to do good things and then, come out the other side. Like what goes in comes out, shit in, shit out, as they say, right? So if you put crap in your body, you're going to feel like crap, and then you're going to just drag ass, and then you're going to look up a year later and go, man, I haven't even been out running this whole time. And I'm kind of like Adam's point of like, guys, you want to do something quiet for yourself, yoga, run, for me, cycle, fish, hunt. God damn it, man, go fucking do it.
Yep.
If that helps you be you, go do that fucking thing. And what's crazy is now, I used to think when I was younger, because I turned 44 in July, when I hit 43 this year, or last year, when I hit the new year this year, I was, in essence, more miserable than I'd ever been before.
Yep.
And it was my fucking fault.
Yeah, dude. And it's like, I don't know if you got as big as I was, but like bending over to tie my shoes was a chore. Like, have you ever been in that position? That's a weird fucking position.
Yeah, breathing hard. You feel a vein coming out of your fucking neck.
And it's like
your eyeballs pulsing.
It's not strenuous, but it's the stress from having a fucking belly that's so big that it just compresses all your internal organs, when you bend over like that. And, I think it's important. Like, I met a guy who gave me this kind of framework or philosophy, and you touched on it a little bit earlier in the conversation, but there are 5 things that you need to work on in order to live what I would consider, a really nice life. And these kind of fall right in line with kind of the transition out of the military and what they don't tell us that we should be working on or focusing on when we get out. You know how we have a MEPS to go in, right? So a military entry processing station or whatever the fuck it is. Matthew Banco runs the Acknowledge to Action podcast. You can find him on LinkedIn too. He was one of the first people that took a chance on me and had me as a guest on his podcast based on what I'm doing. And we had this conversation. He has a philosophy. There should be a MEPS to get out. And I agree with his philosophy so much so that, and I've told him publicly that I'm stealing his philosophy. I always give him credit, but there should be a MEPS to get out, and it's a MEPS with 2 S's. So the M is for your mind. You got to get your mind right. The E is your emotions. The P is physical, and the 2 S's are social and spiritual. Those are 5 areas of your life that you need to focus on from a yourself standpoint in order to live a fulfilling, rewarding life. And everything we've talked about here today touches on one of those points. And until you have all 5 of those things in order, nothing's going to go the way that you expect it to. And that's, I think, one of the bigger things that ayahuasca did for me is I'm like most infantry guys out there. I had my issues with spirituality and a relationship with a creator or a higher power, or however, those listening want to interpret that. I don't necessarily call it God. I call it the universe, but I have a deep belief in a higher power without question from the ayahuasca experience. And that was the piece, other than the physical, that I was missing. The social always been easy for me. Always had a good, circle of friends, always found it easy to make friends. Nothing really changed there, except I just got way better at it because now I don't hate people. I actually enjoy talking to people. I do it for a living. So the physical, we all have the power to change that. The emotional, that took some fucking work, and the mental also took some work. But by working on all of those things, they're all in alignment with one another, and none of them are really lacking anymore. it allows me to just continue down the path that I was shown for ayahuasca. And I'm telling you, my life is so much better. I start my days with a 4-mile walk at a 14 and a half, minute miles, outside with no headphones, because being outdoors, getting sunshine, and being in nature is one of those things that works on your mental and your emotional aspects in life. Obviously, the walking at a really quick pace is physical. That's how I lost 100 pounds. Again, paying attention to what goes in your body. We've been lied to by big food so bad, and big pharma, but big food, it's rough. And understanding that I didn't have the greatest upbringing growing up. I had, a controlling mother who wasn't the greatest. And I've got some food trauma, which means I don't eat like most people do. I'm what you would call a picky eater, but I understand now that it's because of the way that I was raised, and there's some food trauma that I have to work on. In fact, so I fasted to lose the weight. Intermittent fasting is the lifestyle for me. It works like a charm, and it's really not that hard. So to address the food trauma, I know that that's an area that I need to work on. I would like to redefine my relationship with food. Next year, I want to go to Bali and do a 28-day fast. And then the following year, I'm going to go back and do a 40-day fast, so that I can really get ahead of all of that and redefine my relationship with food and put better things into my body. I learned about gut health, dude. Did you know that your gut is your second brain, and anything that you put into it affects everything about who you are and what you're capable of? Didn't know that until the ayahuasca journey. Sugar, I've said it a couple of times. I'm a sugar Nazi. I fucking hate sugar. I love sugar. I'm a sugar addict, without question. But I didn't realize how detrimental to our systems sugar is, particularly any added sugar. I'm not talking about natural sugar. Natural sugar is fine, but all these sugar additives, they're fucking poison to your body. And that's probably the number one culprit of why I was so bad off. But these are all the things that you have to work on in order to get to where we're talking about getting you to. And I'm sure you say it on your show a bunch, maybe in a different way, different delivery, whatever that looks like. But the principles are all the same. We're on the same page here, man, doing the same thing. And, I'm just glad that I could be here to reinforce what you're already telling them.
Oh, same back at you too. And how old are you, by the way? I don't think I've heard.
I'll be 40 in May.
Okay, nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was, 39 years old, fucking 100 pounds overweight, really high blood pressure, diabetic, basically. They say pre-diabetes, but I could have benefited from fucking insulin probably. My cholesterol was somewhere in the 200s, high 200s. It's supposed to be way down around like 100. Like it was not a good situation, man. And I lied to myself. I lied to myself a lot. I've always been a bigger guy, standing 6'3", right? Like people, they're just in awe of, and I'm a wider guy too. I've got a lot of muscle mass. So even when I was fat, I carried most of it in my gut. You wouldn't know it by looking at my arms, or if I had, a decent flattering t-shirt on, my gut wouldn't be poking out. I'd still look like I was, kind of a muscle head or whatever. But I would look in the mirror and I would buy into all those things people were telling me. I'd be like, oh, it's not that bad. I can still see my triceps, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I can still, do the little pec dance. Like I still got control over my muscle. Like, and I would sometimes be disgusted with the way I looked, and then kind of try to make a change. Like, oh, I'll start Monday. I'll go back to the gym on Monday. I'll change my diet on Monday. Fuck no, dude. It would be the next Monday or the next Monday or the next Monday, until here you are, 311 pounds, like fuck.
I think we've all done those sorts of things too in our own way. But I'm curious too, like how was talk to us more about the ayahuasca journey and all that. I haven't talked to anybody who's actually done it.
Man, that one's a tough one to communicate. Largely not because I don't want to share, but because I'm still trying to unpack all of it. Right. So let's talk about kind of the whole program. when you get picked up with Heroic Hearts, and this is just how they did it, and I think it's a phenomenal program, so much so that I paid a lot of money after my experience to become a certified coach with them. That's like what I want to do, because I credit them with saving my life. But there's like 4 or 6 weeks before you actually leave to go out of the country and do ayahuasca, where you do one-on-one coaching and group coaching. So you'll do one of those each week for 4 or 6 weeks, and it's intense. They're teaching you about yoga, mindfulness, breath work, all nutrition stuff, like kind of scratching the surface on some of that stuff. And then again, when you go to the retreat, it's not just show up at the retreat and sit around and wait to drink medicine. That's not how it goes. You like, the first day you're there, you do some like introduction to ayahuasca, and so what to expect during a ceremony. No, you probably aren't going to shit yourself, because we're not going to feed you 7-8 hours before you do your experience. So but yes, you could shit yourself. Everybody's going to purge, and that looks a lot of different ways. So any kind of intense psychedelic experience like this, you're going to hear something about a purge. Largely that's vomiting, could be shitting yourself, crying, laughter, yelling, screaming. All of that is purging. So you will purge. I purged the first night. I was pretty loud about it, and everybody else was having this really awesome, blissful experience. I actually did the hard work the first night, and they all did it the second night. So, people were a little terrified that like I was freaked out in the experience, but really the takeaway from the experience itself and like what I can give you. Did I have visuals? Kind of, yeah. Do I know how to explain them? No, not really. I know that there is a higher power. I know that magic is real. And my biggest takeaway is everything is connected and about balance. So it really restored, and what that looks like to me is it restored the balance between light and dark. I was consumed by darkness. Well, that's not a big surprise given somebody who's got 50 months of combat time. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of dark shit we do in our careers. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. I don't know what your career looked like, post 9/11 or whatever as a pilot, but I'm sure you were in some sticky situations, saw some shit that it's dark, man. It's dark shit that consumes us. So essentially what it did for me is it restored the balance between light and dark. It taught me that life is about ebbs and flows and maintaining that balance. And so what that really means is, it's spectrum, right? It's a wave. You don't stay too high for too long, and you don't stay too low for too long. You just kind of always return back to baseline. And that's how life is supposed to go. Celebrate the wins, enjoy them, but don't spend too much time up there. Learn from the losses and pick out whatever lessons you can in there, and don't wallow in it for too long, because you got to go back to that baseline. Everything just ebbs and flows. And then after the week-long retreat, you come back to the United States and you do another 4 or 6 weeks of post-integration, which is still one-on-one coaching and group coaching. And then I pursued, like I said, a coaching certification after that for psychedelic integration and addiction recovery, because I wanted more tools so that I don't ever have to be that 311-pound miserable Adam that went on that trip. And it's just been amazing for what it's been able to do. Like I'm at a period in my life right now today where I felt myself slipping and falling out of some of the routines that have gotten me this far. The difference this time is I'm mindful of it happening before it has spiraled out of control, and I have the tools to change it. You know what I mean? So for me, I'm not worried about it. It's like, yep, I'm mindful about it. I know that I'm slipping a little bit. Part of it's because I'm getting busier and, trying to deal with what I call higher level problems, and my work capacity to handle those. And part of it's because I've got an ego like everybody else, and it's trying to take back over. But being mindful of that and knowing that about myself, and actually sitting with that instead of running away from it and saying it'll be fine, allows me to know that I'll never have to go back to that version of myself.
Appreciate that whole detailed story, because it makes me think of some of the I mean, I like that oh man, especially like Peru, because I follow a lot of things too, and like you said, other things too, like magic is real. I believe a lot of crazy shit, because now we know from the interwebs that there's a lot of let's just say it this way. If there's good and there's evil, and the good is good and the evil is evil, take them at their fucking word for it.
Yep.
Evil people will try to remove information about the good. So that's why you got big pharma. It's all fucking evil. Big pharma and big farm and all this kind of stuff. It's that you're poisoning humans and killing babies and all this kind of stuff. Everything's fucking poison. I mean,
you're keeping them sick to make more money off of them.
Oh my, it's so gross, man.
It's disgusting.
It's fucking evil. So, but even last night I was saying something to my wife about something about being power couple and stuff, because I'll say it this way. We don't have, thankfully, we do not have, out of 5 kids that we've got, we don't have like a kid with massive problems. You know what I mean? And I was born with problems and had surgeries. If I'd been born 100 years before, they would have just thrown me out with the fucking water. It would have been like, nah. So I'd have surgeries for 4 years and all this kind of stuff, which is also why I was told no by the Army. Like you said, MEPS in. Well, we need a MEPS coming out too, but I got told so many times through MEPS. Oh, you had surgeries? Fucking hell no. Anyway, my point back to this is I love now where I am, and I think Adam is too, is being aware.
Yeah, self-awareness is cool.
Knowledge is power, man.
Yeah.
All you got to do is fucking put your feet on the floor every day. And although I kind of scoffed at the Navy SEAL out there who said, make your bed every day, I started doing it, and just to have a fucking win. And it doesn't have to be doilies and all this kind of shit, but just
a win.
Your shit square, and just go, well.
You accomplished the first task of the day. It's essentially what it is.
And I did this today too. I took my phone, because we're going to talk about vortex in your heart, so don't let me forget that. So I took my phone and I take off my watch, because it's electronic watch, Bluetooth watch, and I take my earbuds out when I go on a walk.
Yep.
Before I go on my walk, I'm like, okay, what time is my next call? Okay, I can make a loop or half loop or quarter loop or whatever. And I go out without noise. I want to go out and walk and look up, and I try not to wear my hat outside and stuff like that too, because I want to just fucking soak it all in, and grounding. Oh my God. I ground every day and stuff.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot to bring up grounding. I work from home, like most of us, right? And random times, not scheduled, I'll go out barefoot in my backyard and just walk around in the grass just to ground myself. It's just something that started happening, and it keeps happening. I have no idea. I don't feel an urge to go outside. It's just like something tells me inside of me to get up and go put my feet on the earth. And usually then I come back in and I end up being more productive.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
Crazy how that works.
I feel better at 44. I haven't seen 145 pounds, 165 maybe, 145 in. I don't think my wife's ever seen me that, been together a decade. So I would say, and then before that was like Army life. So maybe I was 150s. I was a little bigger in the Army, and I was a gymnast. So I've got the thicker body kind of thing too. But just be aware. I feel better at 44 than I thought I would. That's for sure. But it does start with you. You have to just prove it to yourself first and go, if this works for me, then let me bring the family in along for the ride. And, it's not just dad coming in and throwing all the sugar food out and stuff. So you gotta take everybody on the journey with you and make it more of a family approach, that kind of stuff for everybody else. But you just have to start with yourself. And like Adam and I have said, go take your fucking shoes off, go walk in the grass, go take all your electronics off, because your heart actually is a vortex. So let's talk about sound. So if your heart is a vortex, because when they cut your heart open and out, it actually unrolls, and it's got like 7 little chambers and layers and all this kind of weird shit to it. Because, like we talk about a lot, Adam, is frequency.
Yep. When
you're around each other, because during COVID they wanted you 6 or more feet apart. Well, if my aura, my light, is 6 feet away from your light, well, then our light doesn't make more light. So that's why they wanted that way, right? The darkness wants more darkness. And so that's why you got to be around your kids more, hold your kids more, hold your spouse more, hold your animal more. I don't know, whatever the hell you need to hold. But I would guarantee, get the fuck away from this thing. I plug it in my office, and I sleep in that room back there. So I don't sleep with my phone next to me, and I It's just Albert's recommendations, but do whatever you want to. But when you realize that everything is a frequency, and it is about your own mindfulness, your own knowledge is power, and just go, what can I do today that just makes me more me? And I know Adam's talking about his ego getting big. My ego got big last year. I made more money and was fucking miserable. We did more things. I'm glad we did more things, but I was also the fucking jerk who was like, hey, I'm paying for this $4,000 worth of fireworks, even though I love fireworks, and I'm the fucking asshole. Like, what that's it. Don't let that happen. Please don't let that happen, Adam. And just like, no, you guys out there too, you have to filter, because like I love that Adam said it that way, because think about like the stock market, right? That you're going to have highs and lows, but over a long period of time, you want things better for your children than they are for you.
Yep.
So take one day at a time. I had a house fire a couple years back on the 4th of July, and I was the hero that put the fire out. But then I instantly turned into the villain, because I was the guy who just started yelling at my kid, and that was wrong of me. And I didn't stop. I should have grabbed a hold of him and hugged him and said, hey, I'm glad we did this. And, get all the kids up. And I was too busy being, going back to Adam's line, ego. I was too busy being fucking ego and pride. And that's bad husband. That's bad dad. So that's not who I am, but I allowed myself to be like, hey, this could have been worse. Okay, fine. I mean, Adam and I have talked about this. You're always a fucking, I don't know, lightning strike or car wreck away or fall, or you're always something away from death. So why not fucking just go, okay, let me be the light here. Stop talking about fucking darkness and just be the light.
And that's just it, man.
Hard. Don't get me wrong, guys. I said it to my wife yesterday. This is hard, but I'm doing it. I'm self-aware, and I'll fly off the handle on something, and I have to go back and apologize and go, all right, that wasn't who I'm. So anyway, it takes daily work.
Well, and it's not just a matter of like the example you gave with the house fire, and instead of holding your kids, you berated them and whatever, like this was a stupid mistake. I can imagine how that conversation went, but part of that is you're putting negative into the universe when you do that instead of the positive. And I truly believe what you put out into this universe comes back to you tenfold. So if you're going to put the dark out there, you're quickly going to become consumed with darkness, at a 10x kind of gain there. And this is really hard to do. It's really hard to approach every person that you meet in your entire life from now moving forward with love, and a genuine, like, even if you don't vibe with the person, whatever, the circumstances, that person has something to teach you, period, end of story. Every single person you come across has something to teach you. So when you start approaching people with love and with that mindset, you're putting good energy into the universe, and that's going to come back on you tenfold. And what that looks like for me is, dude, I got opportunity coming out of my ears. I don't come from a place, I mean, you're in Indiana, I don't know where, but if you've ever been to Poseyville, Indiana, southern Indiana, right, real close to Evansville, it's not a lot there. It's cornfields, and you start putting good. I don't come from opportunity. Because I put good into the opportunity, I've got free franchise offers. I've got people wanting me to be a part of their sales teams. I just got a message while we were sitting here talking. Somebody wants to do an interview for an article on me. I'm at this place in my life where I'm actually actively having to learn how to say no to opportunity, which is not something people, that come from where I come from ever think is going to be a problem in their life. And it's genuinely because I stopped caring about money and I started caring about helping people.
I think of it like abundance. I try to boil it down to like
that's it, word, dude. Abundance mindset. Yep.
And my simple prayer with my kids in the morning when we're eating is again, getting close, putting hands on each other, and again, spiritually elevating the food. And because it is about, they've done science experience of these things. If you take one glass of water and say ugly shit to it and put it into a freezer,
I love this experience. Yes, I love this one.
I need to show it to my kids, but that's why we pray over our food and come together over our food and give it some positive blessings, if you want to call it that, to elevate get the positive energy in the food. And even just by doing that is togetherness. I mean, even the
Well,
first.
that same concept applies to how you talk to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to treat yourself like shit and berate yourself and beat yourself up way harder than anybody on the planet can ever do, let's be honest. You've said some shit to yourself that you wouldn't say to anybody else in the world. That's all coming. I mean, that all makes you vibrate at a much lower frequency and holds you back. So have grace when you talk to yourself, and have a conversation with yourself. Like, the conversation I had with myself this morning is like, Adam, you promised yourself you were going to practice guitar every day for 30 minutes. And that was a week ago. And you have yet to sit down and put in 30 minutes of time. Why haven't you put in the 30 minutes of time? You're a sorry piece of shit. You're fucking up. You're going right.
Keep going.
You're going right back to the way that you used to be. Yeah, exactly. And instead the conversation went, okay, you are building your own business. You're doing a bunch of nonprofit stuff. You're trying to stand up another fucking business with another partner because you believe in it and it aligns with your values. And you just haven't figured out how to build in the things that you want to do into your practice yet, but you're mindful that you promised yourself you were going to do this. So find the time this week. Priority number one, find the time this week to do the things that you promised yourself you were going to do. Instead of, you're a sorry piece of shit for not doing this and fuck yourself and right back to, you know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. And that's what's crazy about guys like us who've actually seen legit combat. There's very few people who've seen legit fucking war. And we have spent a lot of times being gritty in a good way, or trying to be in a good way. And one of my Ranger clients, when I interviewed him for one of my books, he said, grit's good until it isn't. And oh man, so yeah, I think we've all been the sand in our own fucking machinery of going, I shouldn't have said it that way, I shouldn't have done. So yeah, if you guys can, and I love how this other psychologist says something like, there's react and respond.
Yes.
React is how you feel right then and there. And even if somebody gives you something so intense, please take a second to go, okay, let me respond to that, or fucking take a walk. I've now made a verbal or what a written rule with my wife of like, hey, if we ever get to, or when we get, it's not going to be if, when we get to a boiled conversation and it gets too hot or whatever, or just say, hey, timeout.
Yep.
And fucking walk away right then. I need a lap around, or we need a lap around, or let's change subject or something, and take a breath, take a beat, come back and go, okay, how are we going to do this as a partnership? How are we going to do this as a dancing partner, and go, okay, how can we do this for the better good of our children? How can we make life better for our kids by us being better together? And it's hard. It's hard.
And that's the thing that makes the difference. Yeah. And that's what makes the difference between where perceivably you and I are at on our journeys versus the people who are watching / listening to this who want to get where we're at is 99% of the population reacts. They don't respond. They just stuck in react mode. It takes a certain level of self-awareness to receive information, process that information, and understand this is not a situation that I need to react to. This is a situation I need to respond to. And it's a tough skill to learn. And there was many challenges for myself. I'm sure many challenges for yourself included. But as long as you show up every day and practice that, like you said, the abundance mindset, man, dude, that's one of the most powerful tools I have. I can look around at this desk that I'm talking to you on right now, and I have more shit on this desk that's worth more money than most people in the world have.
Isn't that insane? When you really think about it and go, yeah,
it's crazy, man. I'm looking at
anybody out there who thinks things are too difficult, know that, I mean, what kind of food do you want? I got DoorDash right here. What do you want?
Exactly.
You want Chinese? You want Thai? You want fucking pizza? Do you want deep dish? What kind of pie you want? New York
style? I don't have to go in the backyard and slaughter the goat for dinner. You know what I mean? Like, we've been to places where they do that.
We got it made. We got it fucking made.
I'm looking at $1,000 audio interface, a $500 monitor, a $2,200 computer that we're allowed to do this on. That's more salary than some countries I've been to make in an entire 2 years. You know what I mean?
So crazy, but so true. And that's what's nice about traveling more too. That's something that all people need to do more. Is I like that somebody talked about 7, 7, and 7. I don't remember all of them, but they were like, do every 7 hours, say something nice to your spouse or something like that. And every 7 days, at least once every 7 days, do something with your spouse, just you and them. And don't be more of a couple. Stop letting the kids get in between and creating a barrier.
And now you're talking about presence. You're talking about being present. And dude, that's super powerful too. Like what you were talking about with your walks, take off all the electronics, take off the headphones, take off the hat, and just be in your natural state in the world as a human. Take in the sounds, take in the smells, take in the sights, take in the feels that you're getting from the wind blowing on you or whatever that is. That I live in Florida, so some days it's like the air's so thick you can chew it, and other days it's really nice and there's no humidity. You can pay attention to that shit. You can be mindful of that shit, and it matters. It does something to you chemically inside that, I don't know, at least for me, lets me have a majority of great days. I don't really have bad days anymore.
That's good. And what, isn't it crazy? But when you take in, I don't call it control, because control is a negative sounding word. It's more like a filter. But when you can filter yourself and go, okay, I know who I want to be, and I let myself just be a skin suit and let my passion move forwards through my purpose, and just let, in essence, God take the fucking wheel on this and know that he's got a bigger plan. Because I've had so many times to where I've planned things out and thought that it was going to be a way or a million ways, and then what really happened, and I look back on it and go, wow, that really happened differently than what I thought. Good, bad, or indifferent. And it just, when you have that abundance mindset, like, just hopefully it allows you to just let things happen. And,
yes, sir.
And without piling up, without being like, I need this, I need that, I need that. You don't really need that shit. Like, what you need to do is go hang out with your missus and your buddies and do good things and make sure you're present with your kiddos and present with yourself, and just make every day make that pact with yourself every day to just fucking do something good, and just it's so much better.
Yeah, delay some fucking gratification so you can get to where you're going.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're gonna be just. I mean, I'm 44, so I thought I would never be this fit at 44, but also, let's say, this miserable, because I did it to myself,
Right.
And I love my clients. There's a lot of I don't call it hate, but there's a lot of I don't like the word hate, but I like joy. I want to get back to the word joy, and the joy and joyous are in the Bible a lot, and I'm not a educated man on the Bible as much as I should be, but that's what I pray with my kids is, give us the strength to bring joy to others.
Yeah, man.
When you're bringing joy to others, man, it just, you
feel so good on the inside, man. I swear on everything that helping someone improve their situation in life, no matter how big or small it is the greatest feeling on the planet. Just to know that I had a hand in improving your quality of life, whether it was a 30-minute call and I shared some information with you, or I worked with you for a year to get you to where you're at. It doesn't matter. It makes me feel better than I've ever felt in my entire life.
I'm going to finish the show with this, and I'm going to turn it over to you. But how many times have all of us walked into a gym, or like it could be with faith or family or whatever, and you walk in and the person who greets you with a big ass fucking smile, and maybe they're as fit as can be, and they're where you want to be, and they just have this big ass smile, and they're like, hey man, welcome to yoga, hey man, welcome to fucking karate, whatever it is, and they just have the biggest cool face, smile on their face, and of course, what's your negative thought? Go, that person's a fucking loon. But my point to saying that is, the reason why you think they're a loon is because, or the reason that they look like a loon, smiling so grandly, is that a word? Grandly, is they have a giant smile on their face because they've done the hard work and they're there to help you. Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
They, going back to my golf swing, they thought things, they got hit hard and they made it through the other side. Now they get to help you make it through. And make it easier on you and be a guide for you. And that's why Adam and I are here too, and with what we're doing and with our books and all that kind of stuff and our classes and courses and stuff. Because the thing that you have to have is, if you want to be a pilot, you have to go to flight school. You have to have books and a guide and all that kind of stuff and have a plan. And you have to have mentors and coaches. You have to have people. But yeah, I mean, you have to have a guide and a guy. So that's what Adam and I have figured out. And going back to a positive for you guys out there too, is the lady who made millions of dollars putting pumpkins out on porches. She just did what she wanted to do, and it ain't fucking hard. And she's probably smiling like a goddamn loon because she's figured something out, and she's now helping other people do something similar, or at least the ideas out there of like, because Adam, how many times have you talked to somebody and you think that it's going to go one way? Like I've got a 05, oh gosh, what is it? The 06 West Pointer and let's say 160th pilot or some shit like this. And I thought that this dude was like, hey, now that I'm retired, I'm pretty craftsy, and I thought he was going to say something like, I make swords or some shit like this. You know what I mean? I thought it was going to be like, hey, that's a gun stuff. I'm going to make fucking rifle slings or some shit like this. He goes, I didn't think about this. So imagine a wine glass. And he's like, Albert, I make wine glasses. So there's a little thing on a wine glass, and I'm going to make little decorations for wine glasses. Not wine glass itself, but the little decorations on wine glasses. And I was like, dude, I did not see that coming.
Yeah.
That was a hard turn. And I was like, holy shit, man. But I said, dude, do whatever fucking brings you joy and brings others joy, because you never fucking know. I mean, zippers have been around for a long ass time. Who made them? I don't know. Everybody's got them. Buttons, fucking magnets. I mean, without them, we'd be fucking miserable. Spend time in the woods. If you think you can live a weekend with nothing, good luck. Buttons, zippers, and Velcro. You'll be coming back and my elastic's gone. I'm sick because I don't know how to fucking purify water.
Right.
You'll be fucking miserable. Try 7 days out in the woods all by your fucking self if you whatever. Anyway, but come back and find joy in something. So go, man, I want to make little plastic buttons that go on this little thing. Okay, good. But be able to do the hard work and then come out the other side going, I'm going to help you. Because I've walked a one rope bridge. That's what I brief my clients on all the time. I've walked this fucking one rope bridge, not only for myself down and back multiple times and did it the hard way because I only had me, but now I'm helping you guys walk down and back. And every time that somebody gets a win from what I've helped them with, I'm not going to say praise me. They praise me for it, which is awesome. Yeah. It feels great because good things out in the universe. But then they go, Albert, I want to help my family. And kind of like you said, Adam, that when people find good people like Adam, they do want to offer you a lot and offer you jobs and interviews. I mean, that's why you're fucking here, man. But I just want everybody out there to know too, like, holy fuck, man, it's out there. Just get off your ass.
Put yourself out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I call it see and be seen. So
there you go.
I used to think it was all my pride got in the way, and you'll find pictures of me from years ago where it was like a suit and stuff and fancier clothes and stuff. And now people dude, I get to wear, I call it my PJs. I get to wear my shorts every day, and they're grunt style shorts, grunt style belt, you know what I mean? But like, hey, I got grunt style shirt on right now, but like I'm in my motherfucking PJs, man. I'm usually talking to badasses. I love it.
Usually I show up to these, with a tank top. I'm a tank top guy, man. That's me. And I'm pretty adamant about that. Like doing everything that I do, I'm going to be 100% myself always. I truly believe we're moving into a time period where authenticity is the new digital currency. So the more authentic that you are, the more leverage you're going to have. I honestly believe that. And so that's the one thing, man. I'm not a suit and tie guy. I do have a couple of pictures out there from, the insurance industry with some really cool elaborate knots and all that, trying to make conversation starters or whatever. But I'm a fucking hippie, dude. After the ayahuasca, man, I started growing my hair because my hair. Yeah, I know. I saw that. I'll refrain. You got the beard though, so this is as long as mine will get. I've been growing this bitch for 9 years. It just curls and breaks on itself, so it won't get any longer. So I had to go with the hair. You know what I mean? but yeah, man, and I'm not willing to compromise on that. I've been turned down. I did some traveling earlier this year, and I met some really cool people on some of the plane rides, and they were like, "Hey, would you mind coming and speaking to our sales team or whatever? You have an interesting story." I'm like, "Yeah, but this is how I'm showing up: shorts and a tank top." And they're like, "Yeah, that's probably not going to work for us." I was like, "Well, then you're not going to get me as a speaker because this is who I am." And the clothes don't make me any more or less knowledgeable. Like, it just means that I'm comfortable, which means I'm going to give you my best performance. You know what I mean? And it's not a performance because I eat, sleep, breathe, and shit this every single day. This is by and large my life's work. This is my passion, is helping our brothers and sisters live better lives so that they stop taking their lives.
So we got just a few minutes left. What's something that you're excited about coming up? What's next on your calendar?
Man, I'm excited about the stronghold, which is the community. I'm excited about that growing and just creating more value for transitioning and transitioned veterans, just veterans in general. That's what's really most exciting to me right now, mainly because it's a different spin on a community. Yes, it's a paid community. We've been over that, but there's no fluff. There's no filler. There's no bullshit. There's only a couple of courses in there that were created based on the members wanting the courses created. So it's a very member-driven community. It's the antithesis of Facebook groups, which I believe perpetuate the suicide epidemic because, quick little story, I know we're running short on time, but when I was in flight school, particularly instruments, I joined a couple of Facebook groups to ask questions, and people with 10, 15, 20 years in the industry ripped me to fucking shreds for asking a basic question. I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I think instruments was the hardest thing for me to learn in flight school, particularly not having any kind of aviation background. And I thought I was asking good questions. I thought I was doing the right thing. And it's no different in these veteran Facebook groups. They perpetuate the fucking shitty place that they're in by fucking destroying you for asking a question or being vulnerable. So I wanted to create a place where you could come talk about all the shit that you're going through, no matter what it is. And you can get actionable advice from people who have been through it, who are on the same path as you, most of them building businesses, and just be a community that brings each other up instead of beats each other down. There's zero competition for anything. I don't believe that the veteran space, no matter what you're trying to do, needs to be competitive at all. I think it needs to be collaborative. I think that's the way that we all get ahead, because I don't know if you've looked at this or not, but the internet is like a multi-trillion-dollar industry, which tells me that there's plenty for you and I to go around. We don't need to compete with each other. We need to help each other get to the fucking our share of that revenue. And have I had people on my podcast that are much more successful than I am? Yeah, absolutely. The guy that does all my branding, he just quit on me because he's so busy with client work that I've referred to him that he no longer needs to be a part of what I've got going on. Am I mad at him? No, that was the intention all along. Right? Like, you helped me when I needed help. I helped you in perpetuity with sending you referrals and building you a client list. And I knew someday you were going to have to leave me. So that's awesome. Good for you. I'm so happy that I could facilitate that for you. You know what I mean? Like, and that's just it, man. We can collaborate. And I would love to see as many people who think that I can help them in my community join the community. It's $50 a month. You waste $50 a month on fucking all kinds of other bullshit. So I don't want to hear your fucking excuses. Invest in your fucking self. Come join the community. I'm in there. A bunch of other entrepreneurs are in there, other veterans who are going through the same shit that you are, and we all want to help each other.
That's super cool shit, man. That's good stuff, man. Good stuff. We're going to go behind the scenes here in a couple of seconds. And like I said before, we won't notice anything. Everybody else will out there, but we'll make sure we get all your links and all that kind of stuff. And this is make sure you come back and we'll do this again and check up on you every couple of weeks or months, whatever makes sense to you. And yeah, man, let's keep it fucking going. Cause like I said,
yeah, I could go on talking
a little bit of me,
for hours,
a little bit of me and us, and how the fuck we do more together. And that's why I created this. So for everybody out there, start a fucking podcast and just do good, and you'll be, doesn't have to be gigantic, but just do good things. And then, like Adam and I have talked about today, that you just put out fucking good vibes out there, man. So
if you're scared to start a podcast, I promise you, start one, because healing happens through conversation. I swear. I swear I believe that with everything in me. It's because we're having these conversations that things will change.
It's like just taking the data, a snap of data. It's like, hey, did you get hit with that hailstorm? Your whole cul-de-sac over here got hit with the hailstorm or whatever. And yeah, and you just talk about it and just, is everybody okay? Good. Everybody's good. Okay, good. Let's just get through this and work through it. It's the exact same thing that I think human interaction is definitely the best medicine, and just being able, that's why I like being on video with my clients too, is I tell them that when they first come on, I'm like, hey, make sure you guys come up on video, and I always have them tell us at least 4 things: your name or call sign if you got one, how old you are and what you did and how long you did it. Because that way we can all get to know each other.
Yep.
You know, we'll always, of course, then start slinging shit and in good ways of like, oh my God, man, what do you mean you're a fucking Marine, crown eating son of a bitch?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so fun. But it's always good stuff, man. But we'll make sure guys out there, you're liking, sharing, subscribing, supporting, commenting. I'm glad Adam said the word comment earlier, because that's something I forget to tell people about, but I definitely need to write on my board there. Because man, you guys got to comment on stuff, talk, but just say good shit. That is very important. That if you're not gonna say anything, bite your fucking lip and move on, or take the time to respond a couple hours later. Totally fine. Just say something.
I don't know. If you're a hater, I welcome you with the hate comments on my shit, because what you don't realize is that actually doubles my engagement.
So
too. The haters are so good for viewership. It's great. Particularly if you're building a solid quality audience, they'll fucking take care of them for you. But I welcome the haters. So anybody who wants to come hate, I bring it on.
Yeah. I use the words like hate bait. Like
yeah, there you go. Yeah.
There's some hate bait out there. Because it is true that those haters, man, they will just share the shit out of the negative stuff, but then they don't show up when it comes time to actually like get face to face or whatever. So they're in their own fucking hole.
They forgot what it's like to be punched in the mouth because they live behind a keyboard.
Yeah, they need to be recycled or whatever, you know.
Right.
Yeah, that's good shit, man. Well, good stuff, man. So we're at about 1:48 now. So Rachel, make sure you note that time, and I appreciate being on here today.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This was awesome. I could sit here and do this probably all day.